Hello everybody, I'm down here live in front of the courthouse and the jail. You can see right here behind me the federal courthouse and the jail. I'm out here in the park. We're in recess just shortly before we go back into court. Give you just a quick update. I have just a few moments here. I don't have a long time. I have to be back in about 10 minutes. So we went through a couple more witnesses today. We finished up with Greg Britzing. He's the head of FBI, or at least former head of FBI here in Oregon. He just recently retired after almost 22 years with the FBI. We had him on the stand, finished up with him this morning, and then we had Andy Dunbar came up next. He's a rancher that's borders the refuge out there in Burns, Oregon. He testified again. He also testified in the previous trial. He was one of the locals out there that claims that he's not an informant, but he did collect $2,000, and his son also collected $2,000 to give information or to work with the FBI against the protesters out there in Burns, Oregon, back in January of 2016. We next and Andy Dunbar, he just went on and on how fearful he was and his family and how unsafe he felt. He wanted everybody to know that he didn't like any of them that came out there and stood and protested at the refuge. The next one that was on the stand here today was Chad Cargis. He's the refuge manager. If I remember right, he's lived in Burns about 17 years. He manages about 16 employees out there at the refuge. He also testified in the last trial, and so he's been up on the stand for about an hour, and we're going to finish up with him after lunch, and then we're calling up the defense, the prosecution's actually calling up Butch Eaton. He's the former fire chief from out there in Burns. I seen him just at break, so I got to shake Butch's hand and give him a hug real quick. And he's got to wait there at the courthouse. He couldn't talk, but he said he would talk to us right after court. So I'll try to have an update possibly with him after his testimony today. But I was not able to interview him or talk to him prior here. So we might have a couple updates. As soon as he testifies, I like to be there in the courtroom when he testifies, and then I would like to rush out of the courtroom, and we will try to interview him before he gets out of town. Britzinger, I don't know if it was 25 times. I see Ashley Jones is asking about him, but 25, 30 times or more, he could not recall, he could not remember. I'll go back to my notes a little bit on that. He just went over and over again that things that the government was asking him, and precisely the defense team, that he could not recall anything. He did not take notes. He delegated all this to other FBI agents. And it seems convenient that the government would call him as a witness when he doesn't really know anything. He couldn't give us any information. The only information he would really tell us is that Mark McConnell was an informant. He didn't know how much he got paid, but he knew that Mark McConnell gave all the information on the vehicles that left the refuge to the meeting to John Day that afternoon, and that he identified the different ones that were in the vehicles that were heading out there. He mentioned that the first vehicle had Lavoy Finicum in it, Ryan Bundy, Ryan Payne, and Shauna Cox, and another young lady that he didn't mention her name, which we know as Victoria Sharp. He mentioned that the second vehicle had Ammon Bundy in it, and then another guy named, and he kind of stumbled around, Buddha, and he couldn't come up with the Buddha's name, which the government said, would that have name been Brian Cavalier? And he said, yes, that sounds right, Brian Cavalier. And he asked if there was any other individuals in the vehicle, and he says another individual named Mark, and he kind of stumbled around with that name. The defense lawyers asked him, would that individual's last name been McConnell? And he said, yes, I just came back to me. His name is Mark McConnell. So for an FBI agent that's investigating people, investigating crimes, his story was very inconsistent. He did not remember a lot, which seems wrong to have a witness that has a lack of memory for something that's this severe, that they're prosecuting people over without a proper memory or notes of any sort. So that was kind of capping our witnesses we had so far today. I don't have a lot of time, like I said. I'll look at my notes real quick, see if a couple others. He could not. This Mr. Britzing, he didn't even know if Terry Liddell was an informant. He did not know if John Kilman was an informant. He knew no names of no informants, he said. The only one he knew for a fact that was an informant was just Mark McConnell. And for some reason, it seems like they want to out him, and they've never been afraid to bring up his name. But it was on the stand again today and yesterday both, that Mark McConnell was an informant and got paid, but they didn't know how much. This other individual, this rancher, Andy Dunbar, admitted that he and his son both got paid $2,000 apiece for their involvement in different activities that the FBI used their ranch, borrowed vehicles of theirs, set up in one of their barns a sniper position to cover the last few people, the last 4 guys at the refuge, and that was brought up on the stand today. We have not heard from Butch Eaton just yet. Butch Eaton's coming up on the stand after lunch. We'll finish up with Chad Carter's. Chad has no information. Pretty much all he is doing is identifying the buildings. He has said that his workers couldn't go to work, and he called them all off. Pretty much the same thing as before in the first trial. And so far, no valuable information that I have seen that are useful that has been brought up yet from him. The Dwayne Ember's attorney brought up to Greg Britzing that wasn't it true in the first trial that you was unhappy with the decision? And the prosecution objected to that being brought up and did not want him to answer that, and it was objected to it. The judge actually overruled it and allowed and told Greg Britzing that he was to answer the question, and he said he was disappointed in the first trial. The second question Dwayne Ember's attorney asked is that why you didn't testify the first time, but you're testifying this time, that you think somebody should pay and he pay for that crime because you felt they were guilty? And he again answered yes, he did feel like it was a wrong verdict in the first trial. After the jurors were dismissed for a few minutes, about 15 minutes, the prosecutor Ethan Knight jumped up, very upset and angry, obviously, and a stronger voice than I've ever seen him act in the first trial or this trial. And he told the judge he was very upset. He thought that they had understanding that the first trial, the verdict would not be brought into this, and that he did not want the jurors to hear about the first verdict. And the judge said, well, you should have told me that when you objected. He said, well, I tried, Your Honor. She said, no, you didn't. You objected because you didn't tell me your objection. You just said you objected. And she said, that's why I overruled you. So obviously they were upset that the jurors got to hear about this first verdict, and that Greg Britzing did not testify, but he was upset with the first verdict, and he felt them guys were guilty, and he feels like justice still needs to be brought down upon these 4 defendants. So that's about all I have time for today. I will be back a couple of times a day. I feel that we have some very good information coming out from these next couple of few witnesses. It's going to be very exciting this afternoon. I look forward to hearing Butch's testimony. Last time he testified, it was very emotional, and I feel like we're going to hear some truths that we haven't heard from him before. Again, he's the former fire chief over in Burns, Oregon, and we're about to hear from him in just the next few minutes up in the courthouse here. Look forward to giving you some more updates this afternoon. I will talk to you a little bit later. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Court's over with for the day. Get you guys an update, tell you what's going on. We had an awesome day today. We still haven't, everybody hasn't came out of the, some of the lawyers are meeting with the defendants and having some meetings, so everybody hasn't came out, but the court is officially over. Just waiting on everybody to come out of the courtroom. We had a great day today, an awesome day. The highlight of our day was Butch Eaton. Butch Eaton's from over in Burns, Oregon there. He was the former fire chief and that resigned back there right during the protest time back in January of 2016 at some point. We had a total today of about 5 witnesses. So we went through right now, the government has called 6 witnesses all total. We had Greg Britzing, the former FBI agent that's in charge of Oregon, that was in charge of the protest or that investigations that during that time. He started out with testimonies yesterday, and they finished up with him today. Then we had Andy Dunbar. He's the rancher that took money from the FBI. Him and his son both took $2,000 apiece, and he claims that he was not an informant, but he just gave them information and let him use his barn, his vehicle, and things like that for investigation purposes. He was our second witness for the government. Then Chad Kurgis, he's the refuge manager out there. He also testified today. We had Jeff Rose. He's a BLM. He's a BLM agent officer that works over part of most of Harney County. He has about 94 employees that he's in charge of. He was our last witness today. Just before him, we had Agent Walker, FBI Agent Walker. FBI Agent Walker, if everybody remembers his name, he was in the courtroom and testified in the first trial. He sits in the courtroom all the time. So he was, he's been sitting there as a court observer, part of the defense team, and he also testified last trial and this trial both. So we feel it's impartial. It's wrong for him to testify when none of the other witnesses are allowed to be in the room. But he's continuing to be able to be a witness and be a part of this trial. But anyway, he testified today. He things that are of interest with these FBI agents that's been testifying. The things of interest is they have a short-term memory when it comes to answers that the defendants want to ask them. And it's really obvious. And I think it's obvious also to the jurors. They cannot recall anything. They cannot remember anything that they're asked. Dozens and dozens of questions on both sides of any of the defendants of either one of these agents they do not recall and do not remember. They do not keep notes. It's always someone else's fault that's under them, and they don't recall anything. Agent Walker, he was asked about how many informants were at the refuge also, again this time. And he said there was a total of 9. They asked him some names, and he said he didn't know none of them by names except for 3 of them. And the others, he only knew of them by numbers, and that was the only way he knew of them. He didn't know any nicknames, any names, or anything that he could give up. Some of these things, I think, can be found out that they're lying. They know more than what they're saying, and they're refusing to give this information up under oath. So the 3 names that Agent Walker knew was Terry Linnell, John Kilman, and Mark McConnell. Them are the only 3 names that they've been given up on the stand so far. We'll get back to Butch Eaton. Butch Eaton did awesome. Butch Eaton, he won this case today. Absolutely did awesome. He stated under oath today that he stated under oath that he wished he was like these defendants. He said they're heroes to him. He said he wished he'd have stood up. It took somebody to come from out of town, from Nevada, Idaho, all over other places to come stand up for the Hammonds when it was his job to stand up for the Hammonds. And he said he wasn't man enough to do it, and he wished he would have. Butch Eaton is an awesome guy, and he did excellent for these guys. He helped win this case today. His testimony was crucial. And we got to understand it. He was called up 2 times now, last trial and this time, as a government witness. And he's testified both times honestly, and he's testified that under oath, truthfully, for the defense team both times as a government witness. They did last time, they called him a hostile witness because of the things that he testified about. He testified truthfully. He said he went to the refuge the day of on January 2nd when they all went out there. He went there, and he wasn't man enough to stay there, so he walked away, and he left the refuge. He walked out of he walked about 3 miles till he can make a phone call to his wife to come and get him. Butch is a great guy. We appreciate his part in this that he's done. For just his testimony alone, he has a great part that he's playing in this whole role, and we appreciate him. He wore a tie, the American flag tie today, and he had a pocket Constitution in his pocket. Even pulled it out at one point and said, "This is why these guys come to Burns, Oregon, is because of this Constitution and because of the Hammond family." So it was really an honor to get to shake his hand again today. And Butch gave me a hug just before he went in to testify, and he broke down a couple little times during the testimony. You can tell it was very emotional for him. Even the first time he testified in the first trial, he broke down too. So it was great. I was hoping Butch would come out. I know Butch is somewhere close by. He said he would give me a talk to me afterwards, but he might have had to rush off. But it'd been great to ask him some questions. We maybe can catch him again some other time. So again, today we are done officially for today. We're going to be back tomorrow. Is there going to be court tomorrow? I mean, court on Friday? I don't know about Friday yet. I don't think there's any court on Friday. I know there's court tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Back down here at the courthouse. It's right behind me. We'll be back down here with more witnesses that the government's bringing in. And they're pretty much doing the same thing they did last time. Besides the rancher, everybody is government employees of some sort that's coming in and testifying. And so far, they have not been able to prove that any of these guys impeded any officers. That was not what they went out there for. Even Butch admitted that he was never scared of any of these guys. He felt totally comfortable. He went to the meetings. He went to town hall meetings they had at home, at the school, and he was never uncomfortable. One thing that I did forget to mention about Butch is that Butch said the FBI come to his house and interviewed him, and they threatened him. Instead of giving him a business card, they wrote down their name on a piece of paper and said, we want to put our name on this piece of paper. We don't want to give you a business card just in case something happens. And they said something happens to your family or happens to you because you don't cooperate with us. He said he felt threatened. He felt that his family's life was threatened, and it scared him. And it shouldn't happen by the government. He proved to the jurors today that the only ones that are impeding people was the federal government, trying to keep witnesses, witness tampering, threatening people, and that they're afraid for their family and their lives. And this has happened multiple times throughout this case. So again, it was an awesome day. We had with Butch Eaton's testimony, the defendants and everybody's excited down here about it. They feel like this case is just won just with his testimony alone again today. It was FBI intimidation. They've intimidated several witnesses throughout this last trial, and it's proof again. This time it's coming out on the stand again. So I see a lot of messages coming in here. I'll try to catch a few of them as we continue here. They did bring up the Hammond situation several times. They're trying to prove that the Hammonds were not charged as terrorists, even when they read it in court that they were charged under the Terrorism Act and sent to prison for a second time. That got brought up several times today, and but the FBI agents keep saying it wasn't terrorism that they were charged for. They was charged with arson, but it was under the Terrorism Act. It's the exact same thing that they're trying to charge these guys with, trying to treat them as domestic terrorists when these guys are not. They were standing up for fellow Americans. So if I'll still look for some questions here from anybody. Hi, Susan DeLumas, good to see you. Brianna Bundy, Bonnie Backus. It's I seen another friend on here, Jerry and Ashley Jones. The FBI does need abolished. The BLM needs abolished. These federal agencies have been bullying and being a tyrant for a long time to the people. Until these ranchers and these cowboys stood up a couple of years ago and again there in Burns, Oregon, people have been afraid to stand up because they know that this is what would happen. They'll be in court. Butch Eaton said that today. He said on the witness stand that he should have been one of these defendants. He was too scared to stand up, but he knew that this would happen, and he wished he had stood up. And he's glad for these guys. He's an honor. These guys are his friends here. So it was an awesome day today. I know we have some more awesome days coming up, some great days. This case is unfolding quick, and the truth is coming out. We had a courtroom full of FBI agents today that are watching the case every day, observing. I don't know if they're trying to learn from their mistakes or what they're there observing for, but they're taking a lot of notes. And we had a pretty good crowd today. We was thankful for them, but we can always use more people. If you're out here, we haven't hardly had anybody down here on Patriot Corner this time. I've been inside pretty heavily taking notes and doing reporting, but hopefully sometime next week I can start being down here a lot more. We do have some fantastic ladies up there doing court reporting too, but we need a presence out here so that Portland knows we're back, Oregon knows we're back, and knows that we're here for another not guilty. So I know it's going to be a long 2 or 3 weeks here, but I feel very energized by what's going on in there and the truth that we're hearing. There's a saying that's up there in the courtroom that I wrote down here. Try to flip to that page. I've got so many pages of notes. I'm not really a note taker, but I did about 22 pages of notes a day, which isn't like me. So I'll try to find this saying that's up on the wall. Give me just a second here. I might not be able to find it. There's the walls on the courthouse up here have so many things wrote down on them that are interesting, and it seems like this court has forgotten these things. It says truth never hides in dark corners, and that's what we've been finding out. I thought that was awesome. Truth never hides in dark corners. The prosecutors in the first case tried to hide the murder of Lavoy Finicum. They tried to hide the Constitution. They was trying to cover up this stuff and not let it be brought up in court. They lost last time because of some of these things, and they're still trying to cover up things this time. They did not want the deal of the not guilty verdict in the last trial brought up. And one of the defense attorneys for Dwayne Emmer brought that up, that the FBI agent Britzing was he was unhappy with the first verdict, and that he was disappointed in that. He said yes, he was unhappy with that. She said you didn't testify in the first trial, but you're testifying in this trial because you want to make sure these guys get found guilty. Isn't that right? And he said yes. So it's obvious that they are not happy with the juror's verdict, that they want to find innocent people guilty of something they're charged with that's wrong. Conspiracy to impede federal officers is the main charge here. That's total lies. And we're going to be proving that in the next couple of weeks here. And we're going to obtain another not guilty verdict. And I'm for sure of it. It's awesome to be a part of this. And in Nevada also, they're going to have court starting again on Monday. And we're going to show the world that there is justice out there. So keep praying for us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for standing with us. We'll have you another update tomorrow about noon. And again, this is the federal courthouse I'm in front of down here in Portland, Oregon. Thank you, everybody, and God bless.